Hello, my name is Nathan Secraw, and today I'll be doing my case study on Nationals Park. I will also be analyzing the development of Nationals Park in Washington, D.C. This stadium opened in 2008 and is home to the Washington Nationals. It is one of the most important examples of publicly financed stadium development in modern professional sports. I chose this stadium because it combines urban redevelopment, public financing controversy, sustainability innovation, and community equity concerns all in one case. So why did I choose this stadium? Um, so I chose this stadium because it represents a major debate in sport management, whether publicly funded stadiums truly benefit cities. Unlike many newer stadiums that are privately financed, Nationals Park was almost entirely funded by public money. It was built as part of a larger plan to redevelop the Navy Yard area of DC, which was previously industrial and underdeveloped. This makes it a perfect case study to evaluate whether stadiums create real economic growth or simply shift financial risk onto taxpayers. Okay, so for the funding breakdown, the stadium cost approximately $693 million and was financed almost entirely through public funding. The DC government issued municipal bonds to pay for construction. These bonds are being repaid through a gross receipts tax placed on large businesses in the city, as well as utility taxes and stadium related surcharges. Unlike some stadium projects, there was no public referendum vote. The DC City Council approved the funding in 2004. This created controversy because taxpayers assumed the financial risk while the team ownership benefited from a brand new facility. This funding model makes Nationals Park one of the strongest examples of public stadium financing in Major League Baseball history. Okay, on to the location and urban redevelopment. So the stadium was built in the Navy Yard neighboring in southeast DC, directly along the Anacostia River. At the time, this area was underdeveloped and primarily industrial. The city chose this location intentionally to serve as an anchor for redevelopment. The stadium is located near the Navy Yard metro station, making it accessible for public transit. It is also close to downtown DC, which supports tourism and foot traffic. Since the stadium opened, the area has transformed dramatically. There are now luxury apartments, restaurants, retail stores, and office buildings, and more of that. Property values have increased significantly. This suggests the stadium did contribute to urban uh, revitalization, but is also raising concerns for equity, which I will discuss later on in this presentation. Okay, so on to the sustainability plans. Nationals Park was actually ahead of its time in the sustainability planning. It became the first major league baseball stadium to earn LEED or LEED silver certification, meaning it met high environmental construction standards. The stadium includes energy efficient lighting systems, water saving fixtures, and the use of recycled building materials. Since opening, the Nationals organization has expanded recycling programs and implemented composting initiatives. This shows sustainability was not just added later, but was integrated into the original design and has evolved over time. Good job to Nationals Park for that. Okay, now on to the equity and community impacts. The equity question is where this case becomes complex. On the positive side, the stadium created thousands of construction jobs and permanent stadium jobs. It also increased significant economic activity and tax revenue in surrounding areas. However, the redevelopment led to significant gentrification. Property values and rents rose quickly, pushing out some of the long-term residents and creating homelessness. Additionally, because the stadium was publicly funded, taxpayers assumed financial risk while ownership benefited from increased financial value. Ticket prices also limit accessibility for lower income residents, meaning not all members of the community equally benefit from the stadium, which is harder for the lower income class. All right. And now on to the overall evaluation. Overall, Nationals Park represents both success and controversy. The stadium successfully transformed Navy Yard into one of DC's fastest growing neighborhoods. It brought Major League Baseball back to Nationals capital and incorporated strong sustainability planning. However, the heavy reliance on public funding raises questions about fairness and economic return. While redevelopment occurred, many economic studies suggest stadiums rarely generate enough revenue to fully justify their public cost. In my opinion, Nationals Park demonstrates that stadium development can stimulate growth, but policymakers must carefully consider equity and financial risk before public funding. All right. Now on to the final thoughts. In conclusion, Nationals Park is a powerful example of how sports facilities can reshape cities. It revitalized an entire neighborhood and set sustainability standards in Major League Baseball. However, it also highlights ongoing concerns about public funding, displacement, and equitable access. Um, so, as a future sport management major, it is important to critically evaluate who benefits from these large-scale developments and whether the public investment aligns with long-term community goals. Okay, thank you, and that is my presentation.